excited. I'm glad I started a little earlier because I wanted to make sure the audio was working. And also, I'm so sad because I wanted to play some music for you guys before I got on. Hey, Ty! I think, hey, Lynn! Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm so excited. As always, I get little butterflies and I get a little nervous. But I'm excited that you guys are joining me today. I decided I wanted, hey Jeff, hey Selena. So we have Selena coming on today. I'm so excited. But I decided that I wanted to kind of open up the communications with everyone and shout out to everybody who reached out. How do I do this? Hold on a second. That's it? Add? Okay. Decided I wanted to come on and just, try to bring some positivity to everyone and also
hey,
to my
hi Sue.
Hi, babe.
Virtual
How are
kisses.
you? Let me make
How
sure
are
I have
you,
this
love?
on high volume. There you go. Okay, my volume was a little low. Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. It's so good to see you. And
I know, likewise. Yes, and I'm so happy that you're okay during this time. Like, it's been just extremely crazy. On my end, we've had family members sick. We've had friends get sick. We lost a family member as well. So it's just been
my Lord, I'm so sad to hear that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. We're getting through it. I'm trying to, keep the kids in a positive, happy spirit. But it took me some time to be able to
take a break. This is downtime. This is time to recoup, self-care, just get our mental, spiritual intact. No pressure at all. Like, I think a lot of us feel so pressured to put out content and keep ourselves, aka like relevant. But no, this is time for us. Like, the world is not going anywhere. Instagram is not going anywhere.
I agree 100%. No, you're absolutely right. And especially for me, like, I had to take out some time, to like redo my whole apartment. That kind of also helped me get in better spirits, declutter, because that also was weighing on me a little bit. So now that we have like a much more clearer space, we do feel a lot better. And we're just, just coping with the situation. Like right now I'm sitting here and I hear all the sirens outside and that's all you hear every single day. And it's like,
Lord.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I'm excited to be here today. And thank you so much for always, coming through and supporting, the Fearless movement and everything. I really, really appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. I also appreciate everyone who's watching. Hi, Miss Kat. Hi, Melody. Hi, everybody.
Yes, thank you so much, guys, for watching. Yes, I always get a little nervous. I'm like, oh my gosh, I do have my glass of wine here.
Relax, right? It's Friday.
It's Friday,
it's like no need to even feel nervous at all. You look great.
Thank you. So do you. So do you. I try to, spruce up a little bit for you.
Oh.
Yeah. But let's get right to it, though. I do have some amazing topics and questions I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
And something I do want to say is I've been very immersed in a lot of webinars during this time.
Nice.
And and a lot of IG lives, which have been great. And I have to say that I'm super proud of everyone, including you, with your live with Be Heard. Yes, like killing it as always. And I think it's such a great thing that you guys are doing that. Thank you so much, because it's been such a pleasant educational distraction. Like it has.
Oh, thank you.
We're learning at the same time, but I also, in addition to that, it's been such a great distraction because we're not thinking so much about what's going on and we're more like supporting each other and encouraging each other and like, yes, sis, yes, and sharing resources and stuff. So thank you to you and everyone who's been putting out content. Like, super appreciate it.
No, of course. Anything that we could do. Like for me, that's a passion project of mine. I've been doing it for years. And I thank God I have it, because I don't know what I would be doing with myself. Like, obviously I'm still working from home, but like that's my outlet. Like, that's my everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely understand. So I'm hoping that, I can get that from, going live today too. So, hopefully tonight I'll go to sleep, just content, especially because I got a chance to talk to you as well and connect with everyone. Yeah. So, let's start with mogul millennial. And they named you one of the change makers, disruptors, influencers, corporate leaders, entrepreneur, and so many amazing things of 2019. Congratulations to that.
Thank you.
That's awesome and well deserved.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Hey, Ben. Yeah, so
Ben!
I wanted to start off with that.
Because get the party started, Ben.
I know. I know. I'm hoping that one of these days we can bring more than one person on. I know Ben definitely wanted to come on. Yeah. So I wanted to start off with that accolade because you definitely hit the ground running. I mean, you were doing so many amazing things prior to 2019 as well, but I feel like 2019, you hit the ground running. You were doing so many amazing things, you know, Essence Festival, just like everything. I just want to talk a little bit about that and how you've been feeling throughout this process. Like, I love it.
Yeah, no, you know, glory be to God. 2019 was a very prosperous year. I've been progressing each and every year. In 2019, definitely, I did a lot. I did, you know, like you said, the press trips. I was doing more speaking engagements. You know, just really locked into my craft. I wrote some, you know, a few big stories. I was there when Jay-Z broke the news that he was partnering with the NFL. So I had a chance to speak directly with him. You know, Wendy Williams gave me that shout out on her show. I also got that exclusive interview from her very early on when we found out that she was dealing with a drug addiction. So 2019 was so prosperous, you know, glory be to God. And it's so funny because 2020 was literally panning out to be bigger and better before the pandemic, you know, happened. But, you know, all things are in God's hands. And, you know, I think, you know, I just want to just say this because a lot of people, you know, they just see what you put on Instagram. They don't know the backstory. Like, I've been working in my profession for over 10 years. This is not something that happened in 2019.
Right.
You know, like, I've been literally doing my podcast for over 10 years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Or professionally for 8 years. You know, so it took a lot. And, like, obviously working at Black Enterprise has been a tremendous blessing for me. You know, you know, having that access and being able to, you know, report on those stories and speak at our events and plan our events and book people to come to the events, like stuff like that. It's all been amazing. It's all been amazing. And like even the work that I did with Angela Simmons, who is a philanthropist, she loves to give back and things of that nature. So like all that to me really started to pan out 2018, 2019.
Yes, no, I agree. I mean, I've followed your story so far, maybe for like the last 5 years. So I'm super, super proud of you. Absolutely. You've been doing so many great things and with such grace. I love it. Like everyone that's around your space and your energy definitely connects with you. Like you're always so humble and in such great spirits. So that's something that's really key. And that's something that I feel has definitely helped you continue to develop in this industry because you're just super warm and I love it.
Oh, thank you so much. Hi, cuz. My cousin Alicia is here. Miss you guys. Love you. Love you and the kids.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about Be Heard. I saw a little clip. You were going in and you were talking about social justice during this time. Tell us a little bit about that conversation that you were having.
Absolutely, Sue. And like before I even get into that, I just want to say like women like yourself who are so supportive and consistent with Fearless Radio, like that to me is such an inspiration. And whether, you know, we don't always get our accolades, but let me know that what you do is being seen as well and is greatly, greatly appreciated because you've definitely been doing your own thing in radio and broadcast and media and also giving back to your community. So that is amazing as well. And everyone needs to know that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that because, as you know, it's not the easiest thing, you know, and I'm also a mom of two. So it's
on
like,
top of that,
I got to push myself sometimes. But the good thing is when you're doing something that it's around your passion, it's always going to, you know, resurface and resurrect even when bad times come like these, you know. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah. And, you know, for your question about Be Heard Talk. So that's my podcast and radio show. Hi, Justin. Look at my boss tuning in. I'm nervous now. All right. Yeah, so Be Heard Talk. That's my podcast, obviously we were doing live radio at WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem. And we've been doing that professionally since 2012. We've had everyone from Russell Simmons on the show, Mayor Bill de Blasio, Anthony Weiner, everyone. So then when, you know, the pandemic happened, it just so happened that my co-host and he was like, well, we should be doing more digital anyway. We should be focusing more heavily on the podcast version anyway. And this just became an opportunity for us to do that. So now we do Zoom videos at every Sunday at 2:00. But we were having like some technical difficulties, so I haven't been like pushing it that much because we're still like testing and trying it out. But I'm definitely gonna be like really pushing it in the next couple weeks because I want everyone to just really come to the platform. And like you mentioned, it's all about social justice, politics, race, and culture. What we're doing each and every week is unpacking the stories and the issues and how they are affecting our communities in a grander sense, a grander way. And when this pandemic first came, maybe a month and a half ago, like literally early March, the first show we did, we were like, COVID-19 is going to disproportionately affect Black and brown communities. This is a social justice issue. We did not wait till the numbers came in.
Right.
We did not wait for the statistics that show that 70% of African Americans make up the infections and the deaths in Chicago and Louisiana. We knew that was coming. So as soon as this pandemic hit, we're like, we need to talk to our people and let them know how this is going to affect us when it comes to the economy, because statistics show that Black and brown people make up a large share of low-wage workers. So we're losing jobs. And if we aren't losing jobs, a lot of us are forced to commute back and forth each day. We don't always have that privilege to telecommute. Not only that, but, you know, in Black and brown communities, there are huge health disparities. You know, when it comes to obesity, hypertension, all of these health issues compacted with the fact that we don't have universal health care and access to health care and primary care doctors, this is why it's affecting our communities more. And that's why weeks ago on Be Heard Talk, we talked about that.
Yeah, and you know, just like you mentioned now, just very powerful. Like there's truth in everything you're saying right now, 100%. I think that we had a delay. You know, our country failed. Like we had a delay in letting everyone know how severe this was. I think had we expressed that to our country earlier on, we probably would have been able to contain it a little more. But then we didn't. And then now this happens with everyone who doesn't have health insurance, everyone who did still have to commute to work and still does have to go to work. I know for me, we waited probably until the very last minute. I think the last day I worked was like March 16th or 20th or something like that. So I was also still getting on the bus, you know, and people getting on the trains and stuff like that. So it definitely took a while for us to find out. And of course, like you said, it was going to affect minorities, unfortunately, you know. So now, you know, that's why we need platforms like yours, so that people can be informed about things that are going on and we can pay attention, because not all the time do we have all the facts. And then if we're just watching the news, we're just taking in what they're giving us, right? But we're not doing all the research like you're doing. So it's really great to have the platform. Thank you for sharing all of that information. Really true.
Thank you too. And shout out to Jonathan, who just started watching, and Tequila, everybody else. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate the support.
Yeah,
and leave comments. If you guys have questions, put it in the question box. You see the question marks, right, Sue?
Yes.
Okay, put those questions in the question box.
Definitely, please do. And hi, Angel. Hi, Amanda. Everyone's here. I love it. So let's move on and talk about journalism and your career. You gave us a little bit of background, but let's talk about how it's been so far, and how, you know, what challenges have you had, and also how has it been being a woman in media, a female?
So one of the latest blog posts I wrote, and I don't blog as much as I should because I write full time, like 9 to 5. So then like blogging is, you know, it's like almost work for me. But I wrote a blog about my journey in journalism and how it really kicked off and was like further solidified in 2005 after I actually in 2006 and 2007, after I went to New Orleans to help in the Hurricane Katrina relief effort. And it was that work in the lower ninth ward, which is a community that is, you know, low income and predominantly Black, seeing how the government neglected this community literally brought tears to my eyes. And all the people I was with while we were volunteering there, sleeping in an abandoned school and gutting homes and speaking to the community. And I was like, this is my purpose in life. I was like, Jesus, I need to use my gifts and talents to make sure that these people have a voice. And I remember I wrote a poem, which became a spoken word piece that I used to like perform on college campus. And it just became, it just affirmed that this is exactly what I want to do. I want to be a journalist. This is what I told myself back then. I'm going to be a journalist because I need to speak up and report on the stories that are not being told. And especially in Black and brown communities. And that's where my journey started. And, you know, I graduated from SUNY Westbury. Shout out to Westbury if any of the alum are in here. And after I graduated, I could not get a job. I literally bombed an interview I had with CNN, which was like my dream job, like 3 weeks out. And I was like, oh my God, CNN was interviewing me. And then I just bombed the interview. And I didn't start working in media until maybe like a year and a half later. I just did internships. Like I did a 50-hour-a-week internship, worked retail on the weekends, did another internship. And eventually that internship turned into a job. And then, you know, that's literally how I had to work my way up.
Nice. Well, that brings me to a question. Did you ever have to maybe like take a pay cut or take like a non-paid internship to be able to get into the space that you wanted to? And how important do you think that is? And do you recommend that to others who are trying to get into any industry that they're trying to get into?
I absolutely did. That first internship I did out of college, 50 hours a week, was unpaid. And I was traveling, working 10-hour days, and I had to work retail on the weekends just to, you know, put money in my pocket. It was, and then again, I took another internship. I mean, again, this was 2009, 2010. We were recovering from the recession.
Yes.
It was so hard. And I think media as an industry is so unfair, especially to Black and brown people, because it almost forces you to work for free. Whereas you have other industries like the medical profession or law or, you know, healthcare, whatever. After you graduate and you have a degree, you work for money. But for media, you work for relevancy. You work for, you know, you do these gigs, you do get the perks, but it's like people don't want to pay you. And I remember my third job that I was doing, I left after 2 years because I found out that they were paying the videographer who would shoot my interviews and my red carpet interviews, but they weren't paying me. And I'm just like, hold on. So after work, when I'm going out to all of these events and I'm hitting the carpet and, you know, prepping for these interviews and spending hours interviewing people, I'm not getting paid, but the videographer is. And again, it was like, it was very, I noticed how unfair this industry can really be. And, you know, full disclosure, I didn't get my first full paying job in media with benefits until I was 28 after years on end. Shout out to Zach. Yeah, I'm famous in the building. I see you. But yeah, no, I just wanted, so it was very hard. And would I recommend that to other people? If you have a support system, if you don't mind working 9 to 5 and then maybe blogging on the weekends, and blogging on the side so you get your name out there, or if you can afford to go to CUNY J school, if you can afford to go to J school and get like a master's degree in journalism, or, you know, you're going to have to figure it out, because this industry, and I was having this conversation with one of my friends, it is so, it's like a free-for-all. There is no set trajectory. You know, no longer do people start off as a PA, a production assistant, and make it up to an executive producer of a news network. That's just what's happening. It's like you start off blogging, and then you become a video blogger on YouTube, and maybe you get a content deal to produce content for YouTube, or maybe that turns into, you know, you producing branded content for, you know, partnering with a company. Like, it's just anything goes, anything can happen in this industry, which is can be a good thing because there's a lot of creative space, but it can also be a bad thing because it's like no one knows where they're going to end up.
Right.
Like you can get a job behind the scenes, in front of the camera, become a podcaster. It's like there's no set trajectory.
Yeah, and it's like ever changing. It's like ever changing, and you're also evolving at the same time. So you have to kind of like move around and see where you can I guess, you know, find an opportunity. I was listening to a webinar with Nina Parker the other night, and she was also talking about something similar, and how when she started off, she well, she did great in college. She graduated, she did her thing, and she thought that it would be easy to land something because she was like the man, you know, she was doing her thing in college. So she soon realized that it wasn't easy, and she had to take like internships and non-paid. And even when she landed something, I think it was for TMZ, that was paid, they offered her a position that she felt was even better, but it was lower pay, so she had to take that. So I hear you. It is difficult, and we've had this conversation before. So I know that you've put in the hard work, because it is a difficult lane to be in media, definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So let's keep it a little bit in media still. I wanted to ask you, what how have you been able to differentiate yourself from others in the same field, and what do you think has made you unique and has made you set yourself apart?
I think that we're all unique individuals, and just by being your real, authentic self and voice, you automatically will become a standout, because no one can duplicate who you are at your core, right? So I think that essentially we're all very different. I think that, and you know, another thing, I think there's room for all of us because we are very different. I will say that I do think that my work that I produce, although a lot of it is fun, and you know, I love celebrities and, you know, red carpets and stuff like that, but put me at a rally, like
Yes.
put me at a march, like, you know, it's so funny. Earlier in my career, I would go to panel discussions for fun. Like, I was so, you know, I never locked into entertainment journalism per se, even though I loved, you know, celebrity culture and everything going on, and like the glitz and the glam of media. But I also, at my core, I always knew that social justice and speaking up for racial issues is what was needed in our community, that we had to inform, educate, and empower our communities. And that started with information. And that's the mantra of my podcast, Be Heard Talk: inform, educate, empower. So I do think that, like, just navigating both of those lanes, if people, you know, follow my work, they may see that. I think they will see that in some of like the pieces that, you know, that I've felt the most proud of or won awards, like the written pieces. It was, you know, I'm speaking from that angle. I'm speaking from an angle of why it's important for Black and Brown communities to organize and to be informed about political issues and racial issues. Like, yes, we can watch Netflix, we can watch Love and Hip Hop, you can be all into that, but also know what's going on in the election, also understand what's going on in our communities, understand that your vote goes a long way. And that's why on my podcast, we keep talking about how, you know, questioning if Bernie supporters are actually going to support Biden, and if we're going to defeat Trump come November. So, like, to me, at my core, that is very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you stuck to your purpose, and I think that that's one of the things that helped you differentiate yourself from everyone else, is that you stuck to your purpose. And also, something about you is, like I mentioned in the beginning, you're just a very humble person, and you know how to connect with people. Like, your energy is super genuine, and I think that that's also something that has attributed to being, you know, you being unique, you being Selena Hill. Like, definitely, absolutely. So this conversation leads me to ask you, have you ever turned down a job because it wasn't serving your purpose?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, a job that I was offered and I turned it down.
Yes.
And one of them was because this is before I started working at Black Enterprise. You know, FYI, in case my boss is still watching. Before I started working, I got a job offer from Fox, And it wasn't the Fox News cable channel, which is extremely problematic. It was other aspects. It was like another component. But they were like, oh, it was like the Fox radio or whatever. And they were like, oh, if you do this, then you can't do your radio show podcast anymore because that's almost like a competitor. And I'm like, first of all, this is an independent podcast / radio show. We are in no position to compete with a major network. That's number one. But number two, when they told me that, I was just like, oh no.
Right.
This is, you know, Be Heard is something I started in college that I've been doing with an amazing group of people.
Yeah.
And what happens is every time there's an issue and we go through stuff during the week and we get so mad about what's going on in our political system and with our elected leaders, we come to this show and we talk and we have real conversations, something that's not being represented and happening on mainstream. And I was like, there's no way anyone is taking that from me. Oh, right. No, not after years of starting this in college, taking a break, and now doing it professionally. So I definitely, that was just one that I turned down. And, you know, shout out to that network. It just wasn't for me at that time.
Right.
And there's been other things that I had to turn down.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I can share a little something too. Like I'm you know, nowhere near to, you know, the amazing things you have accomplished yet, but I'm definitely continuing to work hard. But even for me, like in the beginning, when I started my podcast as well, I was asked to do so many interviews, like in the entertainment industry, like in the hip hop industry. And like at first I started doing like one or two, but then I was like, you know, is this really connected to my purpose, to what I want to do with, you know, my women empowerment? And it's not to look down or frown upon anything that anyone is doing in the hip hop community at all. But I just felt like, you know, that industry moves different. And I didn't want to be, you know, selling myself short or putting myself in a space that didn't represent what I represent for empowering women. You know what I mean? So definitely, I think a lot of us face those things. And I think what, again, going back to what sets people apart in an industry, in all industries that are super saturated, is kind of knowing what your lane is and staying in your lane. So definitely.
And knowing, like you said, to your point, knowing your purpose. What is it that drives you? What are you passionate about? And like you said, a lot of opportunities come, but not everything is for us. Exactly. Sometimes we can do it for a season, a little bit, but other times it's, you know, that's just a stepping stone for us to grow and to really walk and move in our purpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Amen to that. Question for you. So coming up or currently, did you ever have a mentor? Do you currently have a mentor? And how important do you think a mentor is for someone who's either in a corporate field and they're climbing the ladder, or who's becoming an entrepreneur?
Yes, that's a great question. Shout out to Chloe who just joined. Hey sis. Mentorship is so important. Not only do I have mentors, but I am a mentor. It is something that's pivotal for, I believe, anyone in their career journey, especially media. Some of my mentors, I don't even know if they know they are my mentors. Like some of them would probably say it, but others have given me such great advice when it came to negotiating salaries and knowing what I want. And like those women that I turn to, and I have men too who are mentors, like the ones that I know I can call on. Like if I'm like, hey, I have a really big opportunity, how do you think I should navigate this or negotiate it? And they'll give me that information. And then there's other women who, you know, I love and have been following, who will sit me down, take me to lunch, and just like pour into me. And I'm just like so grateful and so thankful. And that's why, for the most part, anyone who's interned for my show, Be Heard, those young women become my mentees too. And I don't always know that. They'll like show me on Instagram and be like, oh, look, my mentor. And I'm just like, oh, okay. But yeah, no, I think it's because the thing is, what I say is, I know that there's like a lot of hype around, like, you know, Black girl magic. But yes, it's one thing to inspire other Black women. But there's another thing to really reach back and pick those women up and create spaces. Like, you know, we're all for women empowerment, but are you using your space to advocate for these women, to groom these young women? Are you, and my mentors, absolutely. they have literally opened up spaces for me, or, you know, put me in certain positions. And, you know, I'm doing the same thing, thanks be to God, because we can't just put out a meme on Instagram and think that that's what Black Girl Magic is. No, it's literally, if you care about your community, how are you not just giving a pep talk, but really spending time to groom that young person? Because as you move up, who do you want to, you know, take that space? No
Right.
one.
I agree. I agree 100%. I think mentorship is super important. I also had a similar situation recently where I reached back out to about 3 mentors that I have, and they probably also don't know that I consider them mentors. But I had to make a really big decision as far as my career went. I was making a shift in my career, which was for the best, by the way. It's been super great, and we'll talk offline about it. But I definitely made those calls, and I definitely talked to them about contract negotiation, about you know, the pros and cons of leaving the industry I was currently in and going into this new space, even if I had to take a pay cut, you know, or whatever it was. So definitely having a mentor is super important. And I also want to express that if you do find someone that can mentor you and they're actually open to it, definitely, you know, use it. Like, take advantage of it, you know, reach out to these people and ask them questions. They're willing to answer. And I also found that many people that have really great positions in the corporate world also, and just because they're in the corporate world doesn't mean that they're only going to mentor people in the corporate field, but they actually sometimes are obligated to, you know, not in a negative sense, but they're required to provide some hours of mentorship services to you. So they're willing to mentor you, you know. So the mentors are out there. Definitely take advantage of them. Ask all the questions, you know, keep all the meetings that you make, all the phone calls that you schedule. That's super important. But I agree with you. Definitely mentorship, 100% important. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Hi, Jamil in the house. Hey, I'm sorry, I get so hyping on.
No, that's
okay. Thanks for tuning in. Azia, hi, boo.
That's
hi,
okay.
Steve.
My mom is on here too.
Oh, hi, mom.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about a little bit of your journey when, as you were, you know, gaining notoriety and success and things like that. Did you find when you were, you know, I guess climbing the ladder in the media world and you were gaining success, did you find that your personal relationships started to change? And how did you deal with the change?
Woo! That's a good one. Tough one. Hi, Megan. Hey, girl. Hey. Yes, of course, relationships change because, you know, my progression in my career has directly affected how I've evolved as a person, and as a result, that affects how I allocate my time, how I designate my time. Before I started working at Black Enterprise, I worked 3 years remotely, and literally by like Saturday and Sunday, I had so much cabin fever I could not stay in the house. Like, I was hitting up any and every girlfriend and cousin, and let me spend the night at your house. Like, let me do this. And then, like, constantly, like, going out, hanging out. And like, even before that, I was like, you know, I was big into going to movies and just having like dinner and stuff. And then I started working at Black Enterprise, and, you know, glory be to God, in 2017, that's when my travel schedule picked up. And I became so tired that whenever, you know, I was home, I was like, I need to sleep. I need to eat, because I was go, go, go. Like, I was literally going to any and every event I could go to after work. I was literally, you know, traveling at least once a month. And then I was still doing my show on Sundays. So I went from the Selena on the weekends who could not stay home. Moose was good. I went from, hi, Joe. Okay, I hope I text you back, but I'm gonna definitely text you back if I didn't already. I went from the Selena who was like, could not stay home on the weekends, to, if I have a weekend to myself, I am going to be in bed. Like, just because I know that the next weekend I'm gonna be in another city doing something else, or like I have a really big show or a really big interview that takes up so much time. So that affect, absolutely, because I could not have the same time to really dedicate. it did not mean that I love the people less in my life. I just didn't have the time. And it really, you know, it was hard. It was definitely very hard to try to manage that. Um, then I still struggle with that. I thank God for all of my friends who are still around and who deal with me and, like, you know, are still there when, you know, I need them. And I try my best to be with them 100, you know, as much as I can. But, you know, I mean, I will say my family, my friends are so understanding. Like, they are very understanding, and they do work around like my schedule. And it's like, as soon as I have some time, you know, I want to go to my cousin's house and see my goddaughter, shout out to Alicia, or like, you know, as soon as I have some time, let's hook up or let's link up. But I think that lately what I've been doing is, because I'm always out and about, I've been like really connecting with other folks who are out and about. So like, it's easier to like really have that time and spend time with somebody while we're out and about together.
Yes. I have to second that. I have to agree with you. So, like, for me, I experienced it from both perspectives. So, I had friends who they were already kind of really focusing on their careers and what they wanted to do. So I found myself like in a space where I was like, wait a second, like we just had all this fun together. Like, what's really happening, you know? And it took me a second to understand what was going on and you know, to respect the decisions they were making. And then it also helped me to kind of like hone in on what I wanted to work on and focus on too. So then I started doing that as well. And then my relationships also became a little distant as well because of that, because of the time, you know, like you said, we barely have any time. But I also do want to thank my friends who are still in my life. And I just want to let all of you know that I love you, and I do understand, and I hope that we all understand each other. Like, you know, as you grow, you just start working on so many other things. Like, you don't have that time anymore where you're like, all right, let's just pick up and go. So definitely, I understand. But the good thing is that those who are in your life still are appreciating you, are supporting you, and that's the most important thing that we need, right? So because I'm not there all the time, but I'm there definitely for important moments and you know, any, you know, and to be a shoulder to cry on when needed, definitely.
Literally the story of my life.
Yes.
Hey Claude, what's up? But yeah, no, to me, and I'm a big like moments person too. Like, I'm big on birthdays. I'm not just big on my own, I'm big on everyone's birthday. So I try to be there for like the moments that matter. So I always try to make time for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Latavia. Happy belated. We actually just did a Zoom
for
her birthday, which was really fun. And actually, like I'm telling you, I've been so just to myself and distant because I was just feeling so overwhelmed with emotion and everything that I was going on these webinars, but I was not showing my video. I was not showing my face. And then I was like, you know what? I got to show my face for my girl. So happy birthday to you, boo. Love you too. And now I want to participate in everyone's. Did you hear of the Hangout or something like that? Everyone's downloading that now. It's like a party Hangout app or something.
Oh, I gotta get on it.
I know.
Get on it.
So now I'm like, all right, I'm gonna join you guys. I promise. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better. So, oh my God, perfect segue. I wanted to talk about sisterhood and the support in sisterhood, and have you received a lot of sisterhood support in your industry, and how do you feel about the female diversity in your industry?
Yes and no. I think that some of my biggest cheerleaders and advocates are women, but some of the people who have tried to purposefully and intentionally hold me back are also women. So it goes either way. Like, I've always been.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like, one of my mentors really emphasized the importance of being a girl's girl to me. Like, you know, you have some women in the industry who do want to be the only one. They are not opening up that door for you because they want to be the only one. Where you have other women who are girls, and they want to intentionally focus on helping other women in this industry. So that's the woman that I choose to be, regardless of how I feel treated by other women who may feel intimidated, who may have their own insecurities. Regardless of that, I literally just try to block it out as much as possible, even when it's hurtful. And I just try to focus on being that woman who younger women can look to for inspiration on camera and off camera. You know, I can put, like, I remember my intern, she was interning with Be Heard for months. And she was like, oh, Selena, I had got an interview opportunity at NBC, the NBC Page program. And I was like, well, Dejanay, I was like, I interviewed for that position. I think once or twice. And I was like, I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do, what you need to say, and, you know, how to get this interview. And glory be to God, she got the job. Like, you know, like, and I want, especially other women who are coming after me, to go further. Like, I was speaking to a friend of mine, and he said, I'm a slingshot, meaning he throws people up. He wants them to go as far as they can, and let them surpass you. Let them get past your level, because they'll look back one day and maybe you're going to need a helping hand, and they'll lift you up. So that's how I look at everybody around me. Like, I'm going to, you know, build you up. You know, I've whether it's helping someone get a job, you know, whether it's a recommendation, whether it's pouring into them everything I know to help them succeed, I am going to do that, because I'm not necessarily comparing you and your journey to mine. And I know at the end of the day, if you do happen to elevate much farther than me, I pray that I might need you one day.
Right. Absolutely. 100%. Hey, Ty, I just wanted to say hi. Love you. And you're right. Yes, we do need each other during this time. But I do agree with you, Selena. I recently reached out to two people. One, first, because I was trying to pitch my show to the same network that she's in. So I just wanted to let her know, you know, I'm pitching it, you know, but I'm not coming in here like to compete or anything. Like, you know, we're supporting each other. But I definitely wanted to let her know, because I'm that same type of way. When I first came,
when you let her know that, what was her response? Was she receptive and supportive?
She was receptive and supportive. I don't know if she felt anything behind closed doors, but to me, she was receptive and supportive. And I think that everyone should be like that, because again, you have something different to offer. I have something different to offer. Like, there's no competition. We're all different human beings, and regardless of us being in the same industry or whatever it is, the same lane, we're still going to be doing things in a different way, and we're going to captivate different audiences. Do you hear me? I think you froze up a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you now. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, but you know, I definitely made it known, you know, that I was doing that just so she can see that there was a sisterhood coming from me, and I wasn't going into that space where she was already in as a competition. So I definitely agree with you. And I was going to mention, when I started promoting first back in the day, I was kind of like a socialite in New York City. So to push my brand, because at the time I didn't know exactly where I was going to go with it. I kind of figured it out along the way, because I started connecting with a lot of women, and because of my, of course, traumatic experiences. But I started promoting, and you know, the people that I was connected to, like, you know, one of my good friends, Marksman, the way that he introduced me to people and was always like, oh, this is Sue, she's doing this and this and that. This is Sue, she's doing this and this and that. And then other people along the way who did the same thing. Shout out to Kevin Pryor and everyone, you know, just doing that. And of course, Ben Miles, the negotiator, you know, like, just to have people like that in your life open up those doors for you, that I learned from that. And I do the same. Like, if there's somebody that comes to me with a question or something that I can't help them with, I definitely connect them with someone else. I definitely let them know this is who you should contact. So I think it's a great thing. Like, we need to all be like that, because at the end of the day, it's not a competition. We're gonna elevate and excel faster if we don't treat it that way and we just support each other.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
All right.
So true.
So,
So
we've been quarantining and chilling. As you can see, I set up like my little office space.
I love
there.
it. I see the logo in the back. You got a brand, girl. I love that.
I'm always pushing the brand.
You have to. It's beautiful too.
Thank
it
you.
Looks good. Very good.
So I've been home. I set up my little office space. I've been trying to be super productive. So I wanted to ask you, what skills have you gained so far during the quarantine? And what have you been doing to stay, I guess, relevant during this time?
Skills. So I am really thinking and paying more attention to, I don't know if it's a skill, but just being more money savvy, more, financially conscious, thinking about investments, finances, and also more entrepreneurial. Like I've always been an entrepreneurial journalist and, business minded in that sense. But now more than ever, it's like we have to secure the bags more than one way because we see what's happening with the economy. So for me, I'm really letting that set in and figuring out. It's like every day, not every day, but I had a few ideas where I'm just like, you know what? This is an idea. I'm going to actually do it. I'm going to actually produce this piece of content. I'm going to actually, move forward on this idea that I've had for years and just did not have the time to actually execute. So God willing, I have some things that, I'll be working on and that I'll be producing and putting out there. So that's probably like the biggest thing. And I will say like for relevance, what'd you say?
I said I can't wait.
Oh, thank you. I will say for like relevancy, like I think that there's so much hype around it. And like people think like I have to post a picture a day to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And some content creators, like because that's their brand, they do. And no one wants to be forgotten. Hi, Alex. No one wants to be forgotten. But I don't think that rather than focusing on being relevant, I think we should focus on adding value. Like what type of value are you giving your followers, your friends, the people in your base? How is the content that you're producing going to help them at this time of crisis? So I think that if we figure out our own internal value systems and how we can project that onto others, in turn, you're going to be relevant. But I think that, that focus on gotta do this, gotta put this post out, gotta get this amount of views, that kind of will die down. Just focus on being valuable.
Exactly. I agree. That's what's going to continue your longevity. Is what service are you providing to others? That's what keeps you relevant. That's what keeps people coming back for more. What are you giving them? Absolutely. Like at the end of the day, it's really not about us. Like a lot of people follow, a lot of people have so many followings and they follow all these people because they're providing something that they like, right? So that's what we should focus on. Like, what are we giving? I agree with you 100%. So let's talk a little bit about Black Enterprise before we get off. I also wanted to mention I think Mr. Earl Graves, which was the starter of Black Enterprise, he passed away today. So rest in peace, Mr. Earl Graves. Let's talk a little bit about Black Enterprise to close out.
Yes. So yes, our founder did pass away. It wasn't today. It was actually last week. But we continue to like post about him and we're continuing to keep his legacy alive. So he founded Black Enterprise in 1970. This is the year that we're celebrating 50 years. So, rest in peace to his soul and thank God for his legacy. But yeah, I've been at Black Enterprise for 4 years, which is crazy. That time just went like this. And, I started off as a freelancer, literally 6 months later from that date I was hired, I was promoted to an associate digital editor. And literally 6 months from that date, I was promoted to the digital editor. And, glory be to God, it has been a phenomenal journey. I've traveled, I've spoken at different places, I've broken news, I've covered major news stories. I've written, amazing stories that have been nominated for awards. I've done great stuff. So I will always say that, I appreciate Black Enterprise for all it's done. And the feedback that I get is because it's a legacy brand, a lot of times we need to, just be intentional about staying, relevant, like you said, right? when I say relevant, I mean giving value to young millennials, young entrepreneurs of color, and making sure that we're speaking to those voices. So whether that's through like the events that we do, like one of the events, everyone that I booked and secured as talent on that event was like a young person. Or if they weren't young themselves, they appeal to a younger audience. And I think that, you know, that's the value that I bring there. It's because, you know, I have so much energy. Like after work, look, I'm hitting a red carpet. I'm going to an event. I'm going to go speak. Like, you know, and it's that's what keeps it alive.
Yes.
It keeps it alive.
Absolutely. Shout out to Black Enterprise. Definitely. I actually did an event with Mr. Tai Chun, who's on here, and Black Enterprise about like 5 years ago. So
really?
It's crazy how things come full circle. So shout out to Black Enterprise. So let's close it out with, I want to ask you two things really quickly, and hopefully IG doesn't kick us out. But the first thing is, who has been your most favorite interview during this quarantine through the Black Enterprise lives that you've been doing?
Since quarantine? Only since quarantine?
Yeah.
Probably Slim Thug.
Because, okay.
You know, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but he's a rapper based in Houston. He did that song with Beyonce, Check on Me.
Yeah.
He had COVID-19. He had coronavirus. Yes. And I was very grateful to speak to him about how he recovered. He did so many natural remedies, you know, from the turmeric tea to black seed oil. He was also taking medication from the doctor, resting more. He was also boiling water, and he put orange peels and I think like garlic and onions in it, and he would just breathe that steam in to open up his lungs. And you know, one of the most positive pieces of feedback I got from that piece was someone left a comment and said, "Thank you for this interview. We keep hearing about the deaths and everyone who's dying from COVID-19. Thank you for reporting on someone who has actually recovered." Yes. So that was very meaningful to me, and I was super happy to get Slim to actually do that interview during quarantine.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. And you're right, it is good to hear about something positive coming out of this. So I just want to thank you so much again for coming on this live.
Oh, thank you.
And I hope that everyone, you know, wrote down some of the gems you shared. And I want to close out with asking you to share some advice you have for new students coming into who are journalists coming into the media industry.
You know, the economy is so different now. You know, we see so many, I think 22 million people have filed for unemployment in the last few weeks. So you are entering a very different world as a journalist, you know, in the media lens. But I think that content is still king. I think that if you are creating content that gives value, whether it makes someone laugh, it's inspirational, or it informs, then you can really pave your own lane. Despite the fact that there have been major disruptions in major industries, I do think that tech and streaming is going to continue to soar. So what I tell young people, mentees, etc., is please do not focus on trying to be an anchor on, you know, 60 Minutes or CNN or something like that. You have to think forward. You have to think that you have to understand how important digital is and mobile is. Like Quibi. Quibi is a new streaming service. I don't know if anyone has already downloaded it, but they create content in 6-minute intervals, like very short intervals. So like Chance the Rapper has a show on there. Punk, Lena Wraith is writing a new show on there. 50 Cent has a show on there. And like one of my friends, she's an anchor, and she actually came to Quibi from, I think, like Entertainment Tonight or something like that. But it's like, look, these apps and streaming and social media, to me, is the way to go when it comes to creating content that really reaches people. You know, it still amazes me when people ask me for an article in Black Enterprise magazine or to be on the cover. And I'm like, do you not understand that, yes, we have a circulation that's major, but an article can go viral and will live for so much longer. Like, a circulation is what, 500,000 copies? So you'd rather only 500,000 people read about your story than 5 million people if this story goes viral. So people just have to understand how important the digital landscape is and really get in tune. Like I went back to my old alma mater, and I'm gonna try to wrap up. I was so disappointed when someone from the radio team was literally recording my interview on this massive piece of recording, like portable, like digital equipment. Like it was like this clunky recorder this big. And I'm just like, why are they like, I was like, this equipment is so antiquated. Like, why aren't you guys learning about podcasting? Why aren't you guys doing digital things? Like, why are they still teaching in schools the old way of thinking? Like, you know, these kids need to learn how to code. They need to learn how to use iPads. This is the future. The future is now. We can't hold them back trying to prep them to be like. And I remember my mentor was like, no. And this was 2009. She was like, no, you don't. You need to focus on digital. I'm like, because these networks and traditional forms of media are dying down. It's not going to die by tomorrow, but they are definitely dying down. So focus on the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Hi, The Essence. Hi, Angel. And thank you for everybody that was watching. Selena, you know I love you. You have a special place in my heart.
Oh, thank you, Sue. Thank you for being so amazing. You are a beautiful mother, a hard worker, and just a beautiful woman. Thank you for being an advocate for me and all of us.
Thank you so much, Selena. I feel the same way about you, and I can't wait till everything opens up so we can see each other and meet for a drink. And we need a two-step dance. We haven't had that yet together.
Yes, and Ben is going to be in the dance.
So thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for sharing your platform with all of us. And, you know, I really appreciate it. And congratulations, girl. You are killing it. Yes.
Oh, thank you. Yes, glory be to God. If you can save this video, if you can save it and send it to me.
Yes, I will. Hi,
all
Jenny.
right.
Love you. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I'm going to come back with Chris from Community for a Cause. Selena, love you again. Mwah. Have a good night.
Bye.
All right. Bye, guys. I'll be back. All right. I do this. And then what I do end. And I have to do one more live. You're good. Hey, I'm back. All right. What did I tag first? I'm back. Hey, thank you so much for watching, Ambitious. Oh, wait. Fearless. Let me just pin these hashtags real quick. Fearless. It's a lot of work. Quarantine. Awesome. Hi, Delise. Thank you, Ambitious. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm trying here. I'm trying to come and have conversations with folks and bring you guys some good content during this time. You know, I wasn't feeling my very best, like I mentioned. So, you know, to be here chatting with you guys. Definitely type in your questions if you have any. We're bringing on Chris. He's the founder of Community for a Cause. Hey, Chris.
Hey, what's going on, people out there?
I was just talking about
you. Good to see you, Sue. How you feeling?
Good to see you. Yes, I'm so excited to have you on.
Excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so we have Chris on. He's the founder of Community for a Cause. And I definitely wanted to end the evening chatting a little bit about resources and all the great things that they're doing with their organization and just information that we need to know during this time and what, you know, resources we can take advantage of and things like that. So thank you, Chris, again. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
To see you. I haven't seen you in like so long.
It's been a minute. We're both on our grind. It is what it is, right?
It's a beautiful thing. Like, I can't believe it. Remember when we were youngsters?